Well, today we have Pat Wattam, who is with the Pat Wattam 5-star team Remax Select out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, because you are in Baton Rouge, you have seen a lot of disasters from hurricanes and flooding and everything. And I thought that this time of year it would be appropriate to kind of go over some things for agents to be able to share with their clients. Welcome to the Unstoppable Real Estate Agents Podcast. I'm your host and real estate productivity expert, Kim Hughes. Join me as we focus on real strategies and implement real solutions designed for you to achieve major success in your business and life while getting you organized. And just a side note, this is not just for coastal agents. This is for any agent anywhere in the United States, because I was telling Pat earlier that I did some research on this, and the number one disaster is flooding. So no matter where you are, you've had flooding. You have wildfires, earthquake, tornadoes, power outages. We've had them here where we were out for 3 weeks just because the heat knocked out the power grid. We had the snowmageddon, So this, I thought, was a really good subject because it's things that real estate agents can share that information with their clients so that they are prepared should an emergency arise. So I'm going to let you kind of talk a little bit about what you've been through and then make some suggestions on what you've done and what you've seen that's worked.
So there's so many things to cover. This is a big topic if you ask me. And I'm very familiar with the flooding, obviously, and the hurricanes and tornadoes, quite frankly, but you can't really prepare for those. But some of the things we're going to talk about actually are things to prepare for anything. So one of the first things I will say is be prepared from day one. So hurricane season is upon us here. So we have our little checklist of things that we're going to put together, which, really water, food. And the reason I know this is during hurricane, which one was it? Katrina. My girlfriend had all of her four brothers and sisters live in New Orleans, and they'd been evacuated 3 times that year. And this third time, they'd have brought nothing with them. And that's when it hit. And they had nothing to go home to. I mean, you should have seen their houses. And so they didn't bring a change of clothes. They didn't bring anything. So I'm just saying, you got to know if there's something coming your way, what's the odds of you being damaged by it in some way, and how's it going to affect you? I know that, knock on wood, I'm not going to flood just because of my elevation. Right. So if we have a hurricane, I know it's going to be wind damage. And so where's the tree line? What part of the house to stay away from? So those are just some things you can talk to your clients about that they should know. But there's things you need to prepare for up front for everything, which is basically having enough supplies. We say here for 3 days, enough supplies. I will tell you that it's really 2 weeks because enough people here who've been out for 2 weeks. The longest we've been out is a week, and we just left and went to our beach condo. There you go. Right, so you have to have a plan of where you're going to go. So if a storm is coming your way, no matter whether it's a flood or whatever, if you get caught in it, where are you going to go? Where are you going to stay? How are you going to get out? So when we were at the beach when Hurricane Gustav was coming, and I emailed a friend of mine who works for the hurricane preparedness and Baton Rouge at LSU, and I said, we're at the beach. What should we do? Stay here, whatever. He goes, oh, no, stay there because you're going to get hit in Baton Rouge. I went, well, I didn't prepare the house because there was no hurricane coming when we left. So we left the beach at 8 o'clock at night, got home at midnight. Everybody's leaving Baton Rouge. We're coming into the city, because you have to do things which we even talk about. But if you're going to have a wind issue, you've got to take your ceiling fan blades off of your ceiling fans.
Oh, yeah. See, that's something I would have never thought of.
Well, when you have your blades come off, you'll never forget that again.
Yeah.
So
it's that's a good point.
You have to turn all your tables upside down so that they get blown. They won't fly. We want things that won't fly. And for us, with our yard signs, even if we have just a little storm, we have the pole signs. We have to go lay those things down so that they don't keep flying projectiles. So it's weird things like that people just don't think about. So for us, we always keep a stash of water, stash of food, of non-perishables. But the one thing I want to tell people, whether it's a flood, which may not affect you, if we had been home for the flood, we couldn't have gotten out of our neighborhood. We have down at the end of the street. So we would have been stuck here. And then the power went out, which is why we have a generator now.
Mhm.
But my point there is that your refrigerator will last for 24 hours if you don't open it. And that's the hard
Yeah.
thing. The kids, no one touch the refrigerator. It will be okay. We actually, when we know a
Mhm.
storm's coming, we fill boils with water and freeze them. And then we put them in the refrigerator too, to give it extra cooling, make it last a little bit longer, keep things a little bit
Oh,
cooler. We fill our
that's a
tubs,
good idea.
fill our tubs full of water, because what if, like this happened in Texas during the freeze, what if it knocks out the water system? You got to be
It
able to
did,
flush
yeah.
the toilets. You got to get some more
Yeah.
water. So it just,
We literally had never done that with the bathtubs.
Mhm.
And a friend of ours called us and said, "Have y'all ran water in your tub?" And I went, "Why would we do that?" And they said, "Because you could lose water." And so we immediately we had two bathrooms. We
Mhm.
filled them up with water. We were
Yes.
filling up water jugs. I mean, I was like going to the extreme, because we had already been isolated for like 3 days, and then it ended up being 2 weeks.
Right.
We didn't lose power. We didn't lose, well, we lost water the last 3 days, but we couldn't leave. We couldn't leave to go anywhere. And
Mhm.
so that's why, as I was telling you, I'm a prepper. So I was like, well, we're good. We're all taken care of, but
Well,
we didn't have the emergency of the electricity going out or the water and all that.
so the other thing, though, speaking of where you're going to go, always keep some gasoline cans that we fill up with
Mhm.
gasoline, because let's say that you get hit and you guys couldn't leave because y'all were snowed in, but we could leave, but you couldn't get
Mhm.
gas.
Oh, yeah.
So we
Yeah.
already had gas in our canisters so that we could put those in the car and go until because once you get about 4 hours away from wherever you are, then you're fine again. You got gas, you got water, you got everything you need. So you need enough
Mhm.
gasoline just to get you that far. And you need enough gasoline for
Right.
your gasoline powered generator for a minimum of 3 days. Because I tell you, when we had the gasoline generator and we sat in line for 2 hours at 6 in the morning to get more gasoline, and then the thing
Yeah.
crapped out anyway. So we have a whole
Yeah.
house now. So that's just some things that you need to think about, just little things you might not think about. And the other big one we learned with Hurricane Andrew, we had didn't know what hurricanes were. My girlfriend calls and said, "Hey, are you ready for?" I said, "For what?" She goes, "Hurricane." Oh, those are those little storms that come through here. She goes, "No, this is a real hurricane." I went, "What am I supposed to do?" She goes, "We'll go to the store, get some batteries and get some food." It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going, starry night. I don't know what she's talking about. Next morning at 1:30, our neighbor's house gets smashed by a tree. But anyway, people would open up like the CVS grocery, the CVS pharmacy. They opened up. They
Mhm.
had no power, so they couldn't run a credit card. They couldn't take your check.
Oh.
So one of the things we keep now, we keep a stash of cash in the house, and it's not $100
Mhm.
bills. It's not $50
Right.
bills. It's dollar bills, $5 bills, $10 bills that you can quickly go into a store, whether you have an earthquake or a tornado or anything. You got a stash of cash that can get you through a few days.
Mhm.
Very, very important. Small bills.
Yeah. That's a good point, because the way that the country is moving now with real estate, you have people moving from different states to another state, and the entire climate will change. And so people moving to these other states, they don't know what emergency, like when you move to Texas, nobody thinks that. We have earthquakes, we have tornadoes, we have flooding, we have hurricanes, we have everything.
Mhm.
And so one thing that I always learned, and I learned this back in my college days, I'm trying to remember what happened. We had catastrophe, and my mother was calling me, and she says, "Get your car filled up with gas, and never let your car get past, 3/4 or a quarter tank."
40 times.
And so to this day, my car is always filled up, because you just never know when an emergency will happen. And, that kind of like when we were having our grandbabies, of course, babies come in the middle of the night. Well, we would jump in the car at 1 o'clock in the night, but I had a full tank of gas, so I didn't have to worry about getting gas.
Well,
And another thing,
that's the important part, because I think we get so busy filling our cans of gas up, we forget to fill the cars up.
yeah, yeah.
All your vehicles need to be
And
full.
I had a flat tire one time traveling, and it was very inconvenient. But I learned from that. And so now I carry an emergency kit. I carry a blanket. I carry flashers so I can put them around my car. I just have this whole emergency kit in my car, jumper cables and all that, and a change of clothes and a pair of tennis shoes. And because I was all dressed up, I'd been to my nephew's graduation and I was all dressed up in high heels and everything. And I was like, well, now what do I do? And so, luckily somebody helped, but I mean, I was literally going to have to sit there for 2 hours waiting on, somebody to come help me.
So my sister, who lives in Arkansas, she lives 45 minutes from downtown Little Rock where she worked. So in her car, in her truck, she kept the blankets, and I gave her some of those silver, hiking sheets you could put on, water, kitty litter to put under your tires in case you get. Anyway, she had a whole list of things. So what we do as realtors, my team, whenever we see a storm coming, we call all of our clients who are new to the area since the last hurricane, because we don't have, they're not that often that are bad. Well, I mean, more and more, but anyway, to call them, and that I have that preparing for a hurricane tips from the trenches, my little sheet here, and we send this to them. So they have that. So we call them, tell them this is a real hurricane. Don't be surprised, like I was with Hurricane Andrew, going, what's this little windstorm coming by? So they have some ideas and things they need to do, and gives them plenty of days ahead of time to have that done. Yeah. And then one year, just a little tip for people, we send out, if you're in a coastal area, or we're not even coastal, but we get enough hurricanes here, we use it. I send out an 8x10 laminated sheet that they could use to mark the hurricane progress. So get the kids something to do, because, you hear the hurricane's coming, while the coordinates is coming our way, just something that they could use to kind of
pass the time and not be anxious.
It's coming their way. So that was just one thing. And speaking of kids, you got to have, no matter what the disaster is, you've got to have something for the kids, games, cards, whatever. Because if you flood, you're going to go to a shelter perhaps until you have a place to get to that you can get to. Because in 2016, with the flood, they would come in a boat to get you and drop you off someplace. AT&T went down, so no one could call anybody to say, hey, come get me. Think about that. You can't call your son. I talked to my older clients. We tried to reach our son. They dropped us off at a Pizza Hut. That's where they left us. So somebody at the Pizza Hut said, I'll get you to a shelter. So, you got to have some things with you that you can take quickly. And my other thing is, no matter what your disaster could be coming your way, the things to you that are precious that you can't live without, take them with you.
Yep, I agree with that.
It may be my favorite guitar, my flute, favorite piece of art. I mean, you just got to think about this.
Or Tommy Shaw's painting.
Tommy Shaw's painting, which would my photo with Tommy even better. But people who got rescued in boats couldn't bring anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
When Harvey hit, my niece lived down there, and she had taken the kids, and her husband said, take the kids and go to Texarkana, which is where we're all from. And he stayed, but he literally had to swim out of there, and he had dogs. And so he had 2 dogs, and he said, I'll never forget him telling me that he was in water so deep, and he was like 6 feet something. And he said the water was so deep I couldn't even touch the ground. And I'm swimming along holding my 2 dogs, and there's snakes going beside me, And so I was like, okay, so another thing is to be pet prepared, make sure you have your dog cage, cat cage, leashes, food, and all that stuff.
So here's another little helpful tip. We've been through so many things. So some clients of mine were in an area they didn't think they were going to flood. And it was Saturday morning, the floods had already hit. Saturday morning, he looks out and he tells his wife, we're going to flood. She goes, where's it coming from? He goes, it's going to come from behind us. So they started gathering some things together. And before they could get to their car, it hit and they couldn't get out. And they kept calling for help, calling for the Cajun Navy to come. Nobody's coming. So later that day, their neighbors said, we got to go. So what they did was they got their kiddie pool out. The 2 wives lay down flat in the kiddie pool, and they put the dogs in there with towels under their feet so their toenails can't go through. And the husbands pushed that thing till 6 o'clock at night till they got rescued.
Oh my gosh.
Kiddie pool.
So have a kiddie pool.
Kiddie pool. I'm just saying that's for your pets.
Yeah.
what a great way. You couldn't put the cage
Yeah.
in there, but if you can get them wrapped up where they can't do anything, or you're laying there with them. So
Exactly.
she has pictures of this.
Oh,
and
that
it's
is such a
annoying.
great idea. See,
I
that would
know.
have been perfect for him, because what he ended up having to do was, as he was going through the water, there were some people in these apartments and they were high enough, and they said, would you like us to hold your dogs? Well, they were purebreds. So they took them, and they said, we'll take you and we'll meet you at XYZ. And then when he went to XYZ, they're not there. They had to hire a private investigator to find their dogs. They found their dogs in a cage in the middle of a Walmart parking lot, in the middle of, I think this was like in the middle of the summer. So they were heated in a parking lot, and it was just the craziest thing. But, people will take advantage of you if you're not prepared,
So that's another thing. So make sure your clients know that their realtor is their best friend, because we knew contractors. Whenever people called and said, so-and-so said that they're going to give us a mold test for $1,000, I said, no, I can get you one for 500. The amount of people that were taken advantage of by this it would blow your mind.
Oh,
it would blow your mind. And you can't rely on the government. It's too big, and a disaster is too big for them to handle. It's too big, and it requires neighbors helping neighbors. That's what we found. We have more people. But sending out word after Katrina, a lot of my people with Star Power, they were sending me diapers from Texas, from one of the who has the big Gene Shine, that the big military base there.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
they sent truckloads of diapers to me, and I just called my clients and said, who needs diapers? I have diapers. And who didn't need them, then we took them to Red Cross after that. But we had people sending us, things arrived for me to give out that I didn't know who they came from, books and clothes for kids. And I finally called Amazon and said, this is not me. They said, oh yeah, somebody heard about the flood there and wanted you to have some stuff to give away. So I'm just saying, people helping people. The other thing we did after the flood was I collected, this is crazy, but $100 bills from people. And I went to my clients who were elderly, and I said, because even if you got just like 2 or 3 inches of water in your house, what do you lose? Your shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Shoes.
Yeah.
So I gave out $100 bills to my clients. And this one lady said, she goes to my church and she said, I got my church shoes. I got another pair of shoes on sale. And my husband got a pair of tennis shoes with that $100.
Oh. And that just made her day.
It did. It's just little things like that you could do. And I had friends send me $100, and I take them to whoever needed $100 pair of shoes. I mean, seriously.
I remember you doing that. I do remember you did that. Yeah, I do. But it's the little things that people don't think about that makes the biggest impact. Yes. And it's one of those things where we talked about this also. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You're in the same situation as everybody else. Yes. And so be prepared, So I
want to make one more comment about generators, because we finally got our generator. And we've only used it 2 times, but one time for like 3 days in the last storm, which we didn't have any damage. It's just no power for 3 days for us. But, it comes with a manual on how to use it. And so after a couple of days, I started getting worried that we weren't, we were letting it run the whole time. We were running the whole house. We got the whole house going to ACs. The whole thing. And I could hear it draining when I would turn on the air fryer. You'd hear that it would power up. And so anyway, so I finally got a hold of a company I bought it from. They said, don't use those directions. We're going to send you some directions. And their directions were to turn it off and let it cool down an hour every day. Check your oil in it. I'm scared to turn it off. It might not turn back on. You're so scared. I had friends who left it on the whole time, but to go to somebody like that and get the actual what you should do. So if you do have a generator, call the person who put it in to make sure you have the right instructions on how to actually use it when you're going to have to use it for an extended period of time. And also remember that always come on, because I know, do you know Andy Andrews, the writer, author? Yep. He's down in Orange Beach, and he was on Ono Island, and he did a whole video on, well, I got my generator. No, it's not turning on. Paid for that thing for 13 years, and no, it's not. He's sweating like a pig out there, So y'all, and I called them 3 times, and they haven't answered my call yet. You can just hear his voice saying this. So I'm always terrified that it's not going to work. So I do all my little preparations for just in case it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and you know, because you've been through it so many times, and I've been through similar, I'm never going to say I've been through what y'all have been through, but we've had similar things. But, it doesn't matter where you live, there will be a disaster. And, what's the best thing to do for your clients is to let them know what they need to be prepared for. Create a checklist and give it to them and, help them keep it updated like every year. I mean, you could put it on your website, put a link on your newsletter, promote it, get them over to your website. I mean, they can download it, they can laminate it if they want, but that would give me peace of mind. But it also shows me my realtor cares and they know the market.
Call everybody after the disaster because you're going to know what parts of town got hit. That's what we started calling who needs this one. We knew they needed shoes that got 3-4 inches of water. They don't have any shoes. I mean, you just know stuff. So that was, I think it's very important to know who to call. And and I have a lot of friends.
Call them before it hits, if you have time, and then always follow up afterwards to see what you can do to help them.
Yeah, we have plenty of time before a hurricane. Because you never know. You never know when it's going to hit you. I mean, this last one, no one knew it was going to hit where it hit around New Orleans. So I'm just saying, you're talking about it for a week ahead of time. Just give everybody the heads up and here's your checklist kind of thing. And then afterwards, when you know where it hit, then you start making phone calls to see who needs what and try to help them. And also here's, I forgot this tip. There are places that they have the shelters and they need supplies there. They don't need your old t-shirts. I can tell you what they don't need. And the one here that we go to is at Celtic Studios, and they have on their website or Facebook, they tell you what they're short of. So I made a run over to Celtic Studios to say, what do y'all need? Because we know you don't have everything. And she said, we need 5X sizes of underwear, shorts, and tops and bras.
Oh,
because everybody puts in small, medium, and large, extra large. They don't bring in plus sizes. So we went out, and I'm gonna tell you what, every store we went to gave it to us for like $1. I'll get you, they go back and say, here's our stash of stuff. You can have it for $1 each. And then we went back, and after we delivered that, anything else you need for the night? And they said, we need men's Depends. I mean, who would think these things up? You're bringing t-shirts and ratty shoes. No, these people who are just in a disaster, they don't need ratty t-shirts and your muddy shoes. Seriously.
Right.
They need.
No, I agree.
They need something.
They've had hard times. Don't make them feel worse.
Not expensive stuff, just clean. So anyway, that was just a little side.
Well, that brings up, this is something I just thought of is, check with your shelters in the area, your food banks and all of that. And just periodically, 3 or 4 times a year, and just say, hey, what do you need? And then you could do a fundraiser, and have everybody donate what they need and then take it over to them. And that way they stay stocked at all times, so that would be great for the community, because you never know, you may be the one in there wishing you had those Depends.
Well, I have to say, the other thing is, your fellow agents are going to be connected to many different things. And one of my fellow agents in another company was connected with a church down south of us that got hit hard last year with the one that hit New Orleans. And anyway, and all the coastal parishes and Lake Charles again. Anyway, so she said, we're collecting food so we can take it to people on a boat. And they would go to the dock there and be waiting there going, we know y'all are coming, what time y'all are coming, what you're going to have. So we would get the list, we'd make, bread, containers of tea. I mean, all just weird things that people who have nothing are going to be able to use immediately. So, and
it doesn't go bad immediately. We had when Harvey hit, some people from our church here that were fishermen, they, of course, they got their boats ready, and we were all saying, well, what do they need to go down there? And, they were saying gas cards, get us gas cards, because we're going to need gas. So everybody was meeting them right before they left and gave them all gas cards. So they went down there. Of course, they get there, they've worked a day or two, and they got were turned back because of some legal issue, but they were able to help a lot of people. But at the same time, so people that are leaving to go help, what do they need as well is perfect, I mean, this could be, go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of people get turned away doing the right thing. And I won't really go into this because it's, but I can tell you that during Katrina, I have a friend's sister who's a nurse. They came up from Florida full of medical supplies and they were turned away from New Orleans.
Really? I
Yes,
wonder why.
because they
Is it
weren't
just whatever?
sent by the right company, I guess. And here in town, Celtic Studios, people were bringing food over there, cooking outdoors, doing all this nice stuff for them. My art place, they were doing little art things for the kids to do over there, to keep them entertained. And then one of the big agencies coming in, and now the food is no good because, it could be contaminated. It could be, there could be a lawsuit. Somebody got sick. I mean, you understand it, but now the people are hungry because they don't have the food ready yet. And we had all the food ready for them. So
isn't that unbelievable?
It's real important to like during the flood of 2016, you see your neighbors flooded and you didn't flood. So I went to their house with big jugs of iced tea and ice water, sandwiches for them to have while they're working on the house. And some of the realtors went door to door in those neighborhoods that were hard hit with sandwiches for everybody who's there until they ran out of food. So no one's telling us we can't do that.
Well, and I think that this is more of a community thing. And as a realtor, people should be able to turn to you because you should know all of these things and you should be ready to help at a given moment, whether you're a single agent, a brokerage, a team, whatever. So to me, this is a fascinating topic because like I was telling you, I'm a prepper. I'm ready, doesn't mean I'm going to have everything I need, but everything that we've talked about, I pretty much already have done. And, there have been times that I'm like, when we had, when everything was shut down in COVID, we live out in the country and, our kids were like, don't leave the house, don't do this. And I said, I am prepared. So do you not know who your mom is? I mean, I'm prepared. And so, and then when we did get COVID, we were down for like 2 to 3 weeks and we, the kids were like, we'll bring it and leave it on the porch. I don't need it. We're prepared, So even if it's just cans of soup or, socks and shoes, whatever they need, just create the list and give it to your clients because you may not think it's a big deal. But it is a big deal, especially when it's happening. And, I've watched you go through it. I've seen a lot of friends go through that Katrina and that Harvey and all that. And so that was just kind of an eye opener. So I know a lot of people may look at this and say, oh, that'll never happen to us. Yeah, it's going to happen. It may not be a hurricane or a tornado, but it could be something totally different.
Well, let's talk about COVID for 1 second then, because I made my COVID stash as soon as it happened. I had my Dayquil, my NyQuil, my Mucinex, you had to have vitamin D, zinc, you had to have an aspirin, this whole list of people we've had that in there since 2020. We got COVID 6 weeks into my knee replacement.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
oh my God.
It was when they have a new medicine now, so we took it and we were fine, but so we were quarantined. But you know what?
Yeah.
I called my doctor, says, I've had this since 2020. Can I use it? He goes, yes, you can use it. They had the expiration date. He said, they're maybe weaker, but they're fine. But that stash is not just for COVID. When you think about it now, it's for the flu. And we know COVID is going to be rampant still forever. It's part of the flu thing. So now I'm going to have my stash that's just for that. That doesn't, because what happens is that when we start going through all of our supplies before I made my stash, things were from 2016, 2009. I mean, seriously, we don't have kids.
Oh, everybody does that. Yeah.
So anyway,
I even did that.
We cleared it out. So now everything is from 2020. That's 2020. Probably district need to go. But for a while you couldn't get Dayquil, NyQuil. In fact, we couldn't get any more at the store. So we had our stash, and I had a good stash. Then of course Amazon came through.
Yeah. Oh, Amazon. Well, I took a picture. Somebody had sent a picture around of all the supplements and the vitamins and everything that you should take if you get COVID. And so I had that picture, and I mean, I had it all. And then if somebody was like, oh, I feel like I have COVID, I would send them that picture and say, okay, get somebody to go get this or have it delivered. And, so it really did come in handy, for everybody to know, because not everybody paid that much attention,
Right.
didn't think it was going to happen, and I mean, I remember when my husband he's had it twice. And when the first time he got tested, he was like, well, because we both felt bad. And he said, you need to get tested. And I said, I don't need to get tested because you got tested. If you feel bad and I feel bad, I think I have it. And so, I mean, he had it really bad. I didn't have it all that bad, but, but you're prepared,
Yes.
So it's just the little things that if people would just think, what can I do for my community to help them through a natural disaster or, whatever, that will be remembered forever and ever and ever, and it's just people helping.
I'm sorry. One of the things I was told during COVID with one of my realtor groups, national groups I was talking to, and they said we had 3 jobs. And I thought these 3 jobs are our jobs all the time. We just never thought about it. One is to educate. One is to bring, what's the words, like peace of mind to them. And the other is to entertain and delight them. So that during COVID, how many entertainers were doing things for free on Zoom all the time, or on Facebook, or on YouTube? I mean, I got to watch Tommy Shaw getting a foot scrub with his wife. She was showing us how to do a foot scrub. I mean, seriously, they're entertaining.
I wish I had seen that.
Yeah, I got them all. He's making anyway. But so we did more music videos because we can do that. My whole team's musicians. We did more music videos, and I'm gonna tell you what. We've had more views during COVID than we've ever had before or since. Wow. So it's just paying attention to, giving them education, letting them know that things are going to be okay. And then giving them something to enjoy.
Solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and for those that are listening in, the reason why we talk about Tommy Shaw is because we both have crushes on him. I've had a crush on him since the first time I laid eyes on him, and we've seen Sticks. I think you've seen Sticks more than me, but I don't think I'm far behind.
I don't know. I think we're pretty close to it. In case you hear noise, and this is my husband. He doesn't know we're recording this, so he's been making noise over here. Sorry.
I saw him walk by.
He's been out doing, honeydew things for us.
In
the heat because we have another storm coming. I don't know if you hear the thunder coming this way, but.
Oh Lord. Well, that's what we've had them on and off. Okay, well, listen, I think we can wrap this up. I think we've given everybody a ton of information. And what I would suggest is, the first thing I'll say is in the show notes, we're going to put some of the things that Pat has sent me that you can just recreate or pass it on to your clients. And then think of the things that you need to do in your community that need to help these people before and after. And, of course, I knew this would be a great podcast. It's very informative, and I think it'll help everybody. And it gives ideas, new ideas for realtors that they can do, even if they did pop-bys. This would be a great pop-by, So, all right. Well, Pat, I just love you to death, and I do appreciate your time. And if there's anything we can do, you just let me know. And I hope you get to feeling better.
We appreciate your expertise. So thank you for always being there with my 5,000 questions about how do I do this?
Yeah, and I'm always going to be there.
Thank you.
All right, lady. Well, you go take care of your husband and take care of your knee, and we will talk to you soon. And thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you know someone, and I bet you do, who would appreciate this podcast, please share it with them. As a reminder, this podcast can be delivered directly to your favorite device by using the subscribe links you can find in the show notes below or over at unstoppablerealestateagents.com. Remember, it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Have a great day.